All right, how we doing? Glad you're here. So a common piece of equipment that people like to use is the leg press machine. So if you're in particular, if you're trying to rehab from a low back or a disc injury, it's common to think that I'm going to use the machines first because they're safer. Here's the issue with the leg press machine. When I'm up here and I've got the weight on there, it's very easy, as this comes down, as my knees approach my chest, it's very easy to get this flexion in the lower back and my hips start to roll up and out of that machine. So most disc injuries are not going to do well and are not going to tolerate that amount of load and flexion, especially loaded flexion, right? This is what this machine does. I'm already at a 90-degree bend from being in the position of this chair. And when I come down, I'm getting a lot of hip and low back flexion. So the options, my first option would be to not even use this, and we're going to go to a kettlebell offset squat or a goblet squat or a barbell. But if you do like this one and you like your back flat against there, you've got to keep the low back flat against that pad and don't let it come up. So as soon as this starts to come down, and you feel like it's going to start to roll out of there, that's where you stop, right there. Stop and then come back. So it's possible to use this by keeping that low back flat against there and just do less range, right? So not as deep as you normally would want to go with that one. But I think a better option would be more functional, because we don't live and work in the world this way, would be to get out of that thing, and you, especially if you're recovering and rehabbing from a disc injury, and you use a kettlebell or a dumbbell and do that squat in an offset squat, one to the side this way, and work on regular squats that way. That way we can keep ourselves tall. We're using our legs as they are pinned to the ground. That's how we walk, that's how we move, okay? And we're also working much more core stability and lower back muscles as opposed to the leg press machine. In the leg press machine, when your back is pressed against that pad, you're not using any of your core muscles. That's only the quads and leg muscles that you're using. In a standing offset squat, not only are you using the leg muscles, but you're having to kick in a lot more of the core muscles, or do it here, close to your chest, in front. Work on a goblet squat. Similar to a front squat, we have to kick in the ab muscles more to keep us from falling over. So we'll work the legs just as much, plus it's a more functional exercise and better for the core. Okay, option 3 would be just to go ahead and get on a barbell. So we've loaded this one up a little bit. You can choose your barbell placement position, back squat, front squat. You can go a high bar position or a low bar position. So in the low bar, I'm gonna come underneath here. I'm gonna get that bar kind of low on my traps, right? Somewhere in there. I'm gonna have my feet a little bit wider than shoulder width. For me, I like them turned out a little bit just to help, it helps me with my lack of ankle mobility. So, and from here, I'm gonna come back, sit back and down, and then drive up through the heels, okay? So this movement is gonna be very similar to the leg press, but my feet are in contact with the ground. I have to use now my core and upper body muscles to maintain and balance the weight. Over in the leg press, there's no balance. Your whole back is against that thing. So this is a much better movement overall. So these are the ones that I would go with in lieu of, or instead of, the leg press machine. I know it feels like when you're coming back from this kind of thing that machines will be the better option, be the safer option. And maybe even like the first progression. So at times they can be. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that there's a chance that things could go wrong with the way that it's set up and the way that your low back is loaded. You have to be careful with how much weight you put on there and how much flexion you get on the lower back. And that there are other choices that you could do that can be just as effective, if not more effective, than the leg press machine.